So this is not a comment you're going to hear me make often, if at all, in the future, because it's rare, but CNN did a very good segment here on climate change, and it has some really chilling stuff in it. So I'm going to play that for you in a second, but first, I'm not sure if this is CNN International, because I've noticed something. The few times I've seen CNN International, and sometimes late at night on CNN, they'll switch the feed to CNN International. Usually CNN International does a much better job than regular old CNN. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the process is over there that's different than what it is at CNN. But CNN International is a lot more substantive and policy-focused and detailed. And they're a hell of a lot more like a BBC or what am I blanking on? BBC or PBS. They're a lot more like that than they are like CNN. So that maybe that's why, but I'm not sure this is CNN International because it doesn't say it on the screen, but I've never seen this host before. But anyway, I digress. This is a really good segment. Take a look and then we'll discuss.
The immediate threat posed by climate change is on full display in Greenland. Glaciers there are melting at an alarming pace, which could lead to a devastating sea level rises. NASA climate scientists are investigating the crisis. Our Frederick Pleiken joined the scientists on one of their missions. Tell us, first of all, why NASA are investigating this and what you actually found.
Well, they're investigating it because climate change has just accelerated so much over the past couple of years. And the thing that they are telling us, it was their early findings, is they say, look, a lot of people, when they talk about climate change and the ice melt that's induced by climate change, many people think it's warmer air that's essentially melting a giant ice cube. That is the ice shield in the Arctic. But they say that they're finding that warmer ocean temperatures are also having a significant effect, not just because of the warmer temperatures themselves, but also because of ocean currents that are really leading to a lot of attrition on those glaciers. Very interesting to see what those NASA scientists are doing. Here's what we saw.
Take off from a tiny airfield in South Greenland. NASA embarking on its mission to map how warmer ocean water is melting Arctic ice. Chief Scientist Josh Willis shows me the probes they're launching all around Greenland. It's like dropping thermometers into the sea.
They go out of the plane, right through this tube right here. They fall down to the ocean, and then they separate into two parts. Part falls all the way down to the sea floor, so it gives us a profile from the surface to the bottom on the shelf.
We've reached today's drop zone, the massive Helheim Glacier. What you're seeing from our cockpit camera is not even the glacier itself, it's just the ice it's lost in the past days. And this goes on for miles.
It is absolutely awe-inspiring to see the size of this glacier, to see how much ice is coming off that glacier. That's obviously then going to flow into the world's oceans. It is one of the largest glaciers in Greenland. The amount of activity is just absolutely overwhelming.
But the scientists spot an ice-free zone right at the mouth of the glacier. It's pretty unusual. With great precision, they have to drop a probe right in that pond.
2, 1. Drop. 14 away. I see water.
Bullseye.
In the drink. Perfect. I saw it, yeah. Oh, wow. I see it.
But the readouts they get are troubling. Warm water along the entire depth of the glacier, more than 2,000 feet below the surface.
And these warm waters now are able to be in direct contact with the ice over its entire face, supercharging the melting.
And it's not just this glacier. The ice melt has been supercharged in all of Greenland recently. This year is on pace to set a record for ice melt here in the Arctic. And the NASA scientists are finding out that it's not just hotter air, but also warmer ocean water that's causing a lot of the attrition that's making these glaciers lose so much ice. And while it may look majestic, the ice melt is also dangerous. These billions of tons of ice are causing sea levels to rise. The scientists from NASA's Oceans Melting Greenland project saying all of us need to pitch in to try and slow down global warming or face the consequences.
There's enough ice in Greenland to raise sea levels by 7.5 meters. So it's an enormous volume of ice. That's about 25 feet. And that would be devastating to coastlines all around the planet.
The changes to our planet's environment can already clearly be seen here in Greenland. A remote Arctic paradise whose warming climate will affect us all.
It's really quite a humbling experience, actually, to fly with these guys. One of the things that I found interesting is we were speaking to some local folks there in Greenland, and they were telling us that, you know, they've been witnessing this firsthand, how these glaciers have not only receded, some of them by kilometers, but they've also gotten a lot thinner, a lot lower. So that ice melt can clearly be seen and felt there.
I was surprised what they said. There's 7.5 meters into this. That's huge.
That's a lot, and that's a lot. And I asked them, look, what can we do to slow this down? What can we do about this? And they said it really is cutting emissions is the thing to do, because that's what's driving warming in the entire planet, not just the air, but of course then the oceans as well. But they also said right now, the pace at which things are going, people need to start thinking about moving away from coastal areas in certain places.
Well, that's absolutely terrifying. Every time I read an article on this, it always says that, you know, it's worse than what scientists had predicted the worst case scenario would be years ago. July, by the way, was just the hottest month ever recorded in human history. And a lot of the other previous records were within the past decade. That's not good. I would say that's not good. I'd say that's incredibly scary. The other story which really caught my eye is that in the Amazon, as we speak, there are apparently record wildfires. And the Amazon has been referred to as basically the lungs of the planet because 20% of our oxygen comes from the Amazon. And, you know, the more it burns down, the worse it is for all of us. So it's a really scary situation. And it's unbelievable that human beings are so ill prepared for this, and we're not doing anything serious. Like, the Paris Climate Agreement was a step in the right direction, but of course we pulled out, the most powerful country in the world. And we're nowhere near where we need to be. And we're not having the serious conversations. Somebody made a great point on Twitter, and they said, isn't it like the perfect end to the last summer of this decade is the Amazon being on fire? And if you go to Google and type in Amazon fire, way more stuff comes up first about the new product from Jeff Bezos' Amazon. The Amazon Fire tablet or whatever the hell it is, I don't know. But like that comes up first, and not the fact that the Amazon is on fire and how that's incredibly devastating for the environment and for human life on this planet. So yeah, this is scary stuff, man. People, I think we're still, even in the midst of all this happening, I think people are still a little bit naive as to what the fallout from this is, because remember, as we move forward, there's so many consequences to climate change that aren't even really mentioned often. You know, one of them is how it'll really spur a refugee crisis, the likes of which we've never seen before ever, because they're like the Middle East will become uninhabitable at some point. And so people are going to have to go somewhere. So that's a huge concern that nobody really talks about. Also, you know, the price tag of climate change, trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. They've done studies on that. I forget the exact number, but it's up there. The fact that, you know, you're going to have wars over water, which is a crazy idea. If you think about that, like wars over water, you're going to have people who have to move away from, you know, their coastal area, which might be at sea level, which is just not like, think of New Orleans. New Orleans is already like under sea level. The worsening hurricanes and droughts and natural disasters and famine. So it's really bad. And I see no cause for celebration, no cause for, you know, thinking, hey, maybe we'll get our shit together. There's so much work to do. And we have a bunch of idiots running the country and a massively corrupt government that would rather do the bidding of the fossil fuel industry than do what's right for people and the sustaining of human life.